Typically, I talk about making your retirement remarkable, but our family just went through some difficult times with my mom and dad. And so in today's video, I really want to talk with you about 5 things that we should have done earlier to make this difficult time easier. So I'm Maureen Dobransky. This is Life Starts at Retirement. I produce a retirement lifestyle video every Monday morning and a Money Minute Monday video the first Monday of the month, where I share with you a money tip in 10 minutes or less. So about 10 years ago, we all noticed that my dad was beginning to get quite forgetful and he was just off. But you have to know my parents to understand they're unique. And this encouraged, or this let us make some different decisions. So my dad did not believe in doctors. He was 100% against traditional medicine. He would not go to a doctor for the most part. He would not take a pill. He would not take cold medicine, nothing. He did not believe in traditional care. And so my mom and my sister and I talked about what's going on with dad and some ways we thought could help, but we never did get a professional diagnosis or any kind of professional advice. So of course, over the years it progressed. And then 2 years ago this month, Mom called me while I was in Arizona and said, Dad was sick and not talking or making sense. He was in bed sick. So I hung up, I FaceTimed her back, and so I could see Dad. She took me into the bedroom, and then I knew something was right away. It was wrong. It just wasn't right. So she called an ambulance, even though she really didn't want to. She was fighting back that she didn't want to call an ambulance. It was the height of COVID. She knew she couldn't be with him. She knew he'd struggle. He'd have anxiety. She had anxiety because she couldn't be with him, but we had no choice. She had to call the ambulance. It turns out that Dad had a kidney infection and had to have some stones taken out. He was in the hospital thinking about 10 days. But the infection that he had, and we didn't know this, it actually really sped up the dementia process, and we didn't know this would happen. So the day before he went into the hospital, he was still driving, if you can imagine. And then the day he came out of the hospital, a different person came out. He had full-blown dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever it is. We've never had a professional diagnosis. So the last 2 years, though, kept progressing quickly. He would see people that weren't there. He would be talking to these people. He'd want to know where they went when he couldn't see them again. He would hide things. He was sure people were stealing his stuff, and somewhere in my mom and dad's house, there's 2 wallets that he hid. His first one was his one he's had his whole entire life. It had $500 in it. It's hidden somewhere in the house. And then my mom got him a second wallet. He wanted a wallet. He wanted some money. And Mom got him a second one, and it only had $20. It's hidden somewhere in their house. And a few TV remote controls went missing, and often we just couldn't find stuff. We knew Dad was hiding it. But along this time, we began the process of looking for a retirement home for Mom and Dad, but Mom wasn't ready to make that decision. She just didn't want to have to deal with that. So she stayed home. She was Dad's primary caregiver. We did get some help for her, but she wouldn't accept much. She wanted to be strong, and she wanted to do this. So we had someone come in one afternoon a week to cook and clean and watch Dad, and she got out one afternoon a week. That's it. We all kept bugging her to get more help. We wanted to have someone come in more often. We wanted to see about maybe placing Dad somewhere different. Mom would not do it. So they managed, but we all knew it probably wasn't the best. They managed, but barely. And then on November 29th, just recently, I got a call from my mom, and she said she had fallen and thought she had broken her hip. So she went by ambulance to the hospital, but now the decision of what to do with Dad is right here. It can't be ignored anymore. So I recorded this video on December 2nd because I knew I'd probably be busy in Edmonton with Mom and Dad, and probably couldn't get to record a video. But as of today, 3 days, almost 4 days after Mom fell, she's still in the hospital with a broken hip without surgery. Yes, without surgery. Now, our healthcare system is broken, and I'd love to go on about that. That's a discussion for another time. But here we are now worrying about what to do with dad and then what to do with mom when she comes out because she can't look after dad. So we think we have found dad a place in a memory unit. Now, mom has said she wants to come home to dad and then go with me when we move him in. Now, I've cried and cried and cried, and I'm certain I'll cry a whole lot more, but we have a plan that we think will be safe for everyone. But the whole point of this video is I've learned a lot about this stage of life, and I thought I could share it with you so that when and if you have to deal with this, it may help you as well. So here are 5 things that I wish we would have done differently looking back. Number 1, have a backup plan. Now, we all often thought and even said, oh my God, what are we going to do if mom couldn't do this? What if something happens to mom? But that's as far as we took it. We didn't go beyond that. We were content, I suppose, to bury our head in the sands as long as mom was capable of taking care of dad. We just didn't want to deal with it. It was easier that way. So have a backup plan. Ask yourself, okay, what happens if something happens to mom, dad, the caregiver? What is our backup plan? So much easier. Number 2, always have a list of names of people you can call in an emergency. Now, my nieces live in Edmonton, so thankfully we were able to call them, but it doesn't have to even be friends or family, but maybe a caregiver, maybe a neighbor, even a local babysitter that would come in a pinch to be able to stay with your family member in the case of an emergency. Number 3, have your wills, personal directives, power attorneys, whatever legal paperwork you need taken care of, and let everyone know where they are. Luckily, I had taken mom and dad a while back, and all of that is good for them. And we also have a book started, pretty good, that says, okay, here's my wishes, here's what I want when I pass away, here's my bank account, here's my investment accounts, here's my debts, here's my whatever it is that we need, so that when they do pass away, I have all of that information to have. Or in the case that mom stays longer in the hospital, dad's not capable, so I know where all of their investments are and everything to make sure that their life can still go on from a financial perspective. Number 4, check out all of the government plans and programs that may be available for you should you need them, but check them out ahead of time. Have phone numbers, have information booklets, everything. If someone like my dad now needs an assessment to happen to see if he qualifies for these programs, we easily could have had that assessment done months ago, and it would have been complete, and we know he's going to qualify for some of these programs, but we could have had the assessment done. Doesn't mean that we have to use that program. Just now that we need it, it could be available, and we need it right now, not 3 or 4 months from now. So it would have been easier if we had done all this in advance. And last, this one more so on a personal note, just understand that everyone handles stress and difficult times differently. Try hard to be patient with your family in particular and anyone else. Recognize that not everybody's at the same place you are with making these decisions. So when you're having these difficult conversations with family, state your case with facts and not accusations. Don't text, don't call, don't yell, and don't text or call in particular when you're angry or upset, because those words can't be taken back. So this is just a few of the things that I've learned from this hard time. If you have others that may help this community, I'd love to see them in the comments below, or please join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/lifestartsatretirement. We're growing a great Facebook group there to support one another through our retirement. So please consider joining as well, and please consider subscribing to this channel. I'm Maureen Dobransky. This is Life Starts at Retirement, where we're trying to make our retirement remarkable.